Hello everybody. Today we're going to learn how to manually rewind a cassette tape. Now cassette tapes are the things from 1990s. If you do not know, you can Google it. They have two little eyes that you can put the pencil in and rewind it manually, and then you can hear the music. Now I like this idea of doing this simple how-to videos, and this is going to be one of those simple ones. I think that cassette was one of my childhood favorites, and I realize that technology is changing so fast that cassette has become irrelevant, and sometimes people do not know how to use it. It's a bit sad for me, but okay. Sometimes cassette tapes have their tape pulled out or are otherwise unable to be inserted into the cassette player. Other times there just isn't a working cassette player around. This will show you a few quick tips and steps to get your tape back into its shape. Step 1. Find a pen or pencil. When looked at on its end, it is in the shape of a hexagon or octagon, 6 or 8-sided respectively, much like a stop sign. The very common clear big pens are perfect, actually. You know, those hexagon shaped pens. These steps will not work with a round pen that is able to roll smoothly off the tape, because you see the round little holes on the cassette tape they have their own little angles. Yeah, and then it can hook onto the hexagon shapes. So perfect for pencils. They can rewind very fast. I can tell you how many times that I had to go through where the cassette was rolled off the tape. So it was just a big mess. And if you don't keep it fast, it will destroy the music inside. So you have to do that. Step 2. Insert the pen through one of the cassette reel holes. It's called REL holes. Step 3. Slowly rotate the reel, ensuring that the pen makes good contact with this flux. It's really funny for me to explain this to you. It should, if you choose the right kind of pen, it will work. Just slowly try to rotate the reel, make sure that the pen makes really good contact, and keep on just twisting and turning. Check if it's going back into it's like a tape, white tape that you use nowadays. It's just like that. You know how hard it is to use that. It wasn't that hard for the cassette. Step 4. Always rotate the top of the reel toward the center of the cassette. In other words, if your pen is on the left reel hole, rotate clockwise. If it is on the right reel hole, so rotate counterclockwise. Just check, because your cassette will have the little hole in the middle, and then you can check if it's which way it's going. Step 5. In no time at all, your tape will be rewound. So that is the simple way to ensure rewind a cassette tape. And now let's look at the tips. Stop spinning every once in a while, and ensure that there are no snags or knots or nasty twists in unwound tape that will impede your progress. You have to know if it's unwound, rolling out, because it's rolled up. If you pull out the cassette tape, it will be very curled up. It's like a curly hair because it's always twisting and turning inside. So just have to make sure it's not twisting the wrong way around. Okay, let's look at the warnings. Okay, when you sense that you are nearing the end of the tape, slow your spinning. Spinning too fast whilst hitting the end of the tape can stretch or snap the tape. And don't spin the tape like a party noisemaker. It will scratch and snap the tape as well as present a possibility that tape will fly off the pen handle. You know, I used to do that a lot when I would put my pencil in and just twist it and turn it and have a little fun, which can cause damage to you or your tape or your surroundings, which I did get hit by the tape, cassette tape, many times on the face, in the eye in fact. Best to use the more time-consuming method of going slowly. Now, what do you need for this? A hexagon-shaped pen, like most common clear big pens, and a regular cassette tape in need of a manual rewind. Now I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to record another one another time because somebody is snoring right next to me. Alright, I hope that it was a bit peaceful for you. It was very peaceful for my husband right now. Okay, good night everyone. I'll be back. And I am back. I'm going to look at how to change the needle on a vinyl player. Phonographs, record players, turntables, whatever you call them, have parts that need to be changed as they wear. And generally there are only 2 or 3 parts to turntables that need attention depending on the type. These parts are the stylus, or the needle, hence the term stylus pen. Cartridge, and in some cases turntables or a belt. Stylus is the part that is changed most often, as the friction created will cause the wear as it tracks on the groove on the records. And the stylus is held by the cartridge, which is fastened to the tone arm, or in some cases the head shell. Sometimes the cartridge needs to be changed along with the needles. So now let's look at the replacing the stylus, part 1. And now, number 1, remove the stylus by pulling straight out in the opposite direction of the tone arm. And step 2, take note of the cartridge manufacturer's name and model and find compatible replacement stylus. If you purchase in a store, it will be helpful to bring the old stylus. If a compatible stylus is no longer available for your cartridge, both the cartridge and stylus will need to be replaced. Replace the cartridge as instructed on the next section right now before inserting the new stylus. Number 3, slip the new stylus back into the opening in the cartridge. The point should be facing downwards, of course. Part 2. Now let's look at replacing the cartridge. The cartridge is another component that can be changed. Usually the cartridge will last a lifetime unless it is physically damaged or a replacement stylus is no longer available. Now let's look at step 1. Choose a replacement cartridge based on which type are compatible with your turntable manufacturer and model. The cartridge usually plugs into a jack secured in the head shell or the tone arm. The cartridge is either pull-out or slip-in arrangement, similar to the stylus, or held in place with small hex nuts or screws to be removed from the head shells. Latter is actually less obvious, and it is the one described in this topic. Now let's look at step 2. Remove the head shell from the tone arm. Most head shells are secured by a compression ring or nut, which, when loosened, will allow the head shell to be separated from the tone arm. If not fitted into the socket mounted on the head shell, several individual color-coded wires with connectors crimped at the ends will need to be carefully slipped off the cartridge pins. The new cartridge will include a wiring diagram to make the reconnects worry-free, so look into that. Like many small electronic devices, it should be handled with care and alignment, with the socket to be eased into the final position once the head shell is removed. Use the jeweler's screwdriver to unscrew the screws. And step 3. Adjust the tracking pressure when changing the cartridge. Cartridges have different weights, so the counterbalance on the opposite end of the tone arm and skew adjustments, usually an adjustment to the rear or near, but not on the tone arm itself. It will need to be set. So when tracking the pressure is properly set, the stylus will sit fully on its record groove. The new cartridge will include a recommended counterbalance weight, often expressed in grams, so it can accurately be set by weighing the downward pressure on the stylus. The anti-skew setting helps keep the stylus pressure equal in the horizontal direction. This will help to prevent the tone arm from skidding across the record if it's bumped, and we all know what happens if it skips across. It will not make much sense. Now let's look at cleaning the belt. It's very important. One of the most overlooked part of the player is the belt. Do note that direct drive units do not include belts, but some do. Indications for belt cleaning include the inability to adjust the turntable speed to attain the correct pitch of recording, or to sync the speed to an indicator located in the platter to the strobe. An uneven speed or pitch or complete failure of the platter will spin. It's just going to fail completely, so you have to look at that. Everything has to be delicate because this is an older technology, but it is a oldie but a goodie. It's a goldie. It's a untimed, never. How do I say this? It's all-time classical design. This type of vinyl players, quarters. You always go back to where it all began, and it's just as beautiful as it was created long time ago, and it's just as effective right now. And some people really actually explain that final recording is a lot clearer than the MP3 or the digital versions of the songs. It's more rounded. The sounds are more rounded. That's what I would say. Now, to change the belt. Step one, get into the underside of the turntable. Depending on the model, it may be accessible by removing the cover on the underside, removing the platter, or removing the screws that allow lifting the entire mechanism up and down the cabinet. From here, you will be able to access the belt. I'm sorry, it is the neighbors. They like to walk very loudly. But anyways, we have time. Step 2. Remove the old belt once visible and clean it. Using alcohol and a clean rag, gently clean all the surfaces that the belt contacts. Wipe the inner surface of the belt with a clean and dry cloth to remove any contaminations. So do not use cleaners or alcohol on this part, as these can cause the belt to dry out prematurely. When all the components are dry, slip the new and compatible belt on and never apply lubricants to these surfaces. And step 3, in the last step, reassemble everything and enjoy the beautiful sound. A final recording. Now let's look at the tips. Protecting the stylus from damage will keep your record sounding great. Never drop the arm. Place it gently on the record. Never let it contact to anything other than the record. And then tip number 2. Proper anti-skew or tracking pressure adjustments are paramount to the quality of the reproduction. And clean the records with devices and cleaners designed specifically for the task before playing. If your turntable has a terminal screw near the power cord and signal jacks and cable marked GND, ground, or has a symbol that looks like an arrow pointing downward next to it, it should be connected to the earth and ground to minimize eliminate any objectable 50 to 50 hertz or stray signals. The turntable should be placed on the surface and is isolated as much as possible from vibrating surfaces. Vibrations felt by turntable from the sources such as speakers bumping, furnitures, or several conditions with heavy traffic outside will detect and convert the sound in the speakers. If vibration is so strong enough, it may even result in skip during the record play. Reduce or eliminate vibration by placing the turntable on a solid surface or by providing a vibration absorbing buffer between the surface and the turntable. Something as simple as a folded towel can dampen or reduce the vibration significantly. Warning. Now, I have to warn you to unplug the turntable from AC power source before changing the belt or accessing the mechanisms underside the table. For obvious reasons, you don't want to be jolted by electricity. Now, today's videos has been a very short one, and I hope it was a very effective one. I love doing these how-to videos it makes me feel so relaxed and so good, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. I certainly had a good time. I'm sorry about the noise of the neighbors, and my husband was snoring a little in the middle of this. I had to go to another room. I think that I'm very effective. Alright, now it's time for you to sleep and time for me to rest too. Good night, everybody. Have a very good week or weekend or a good day. Alright, see you soon. Good night.